I'm excited to announce the RD Opening Range Initial Balance Indicator. This is a free indicator that you can add to your charts. You'll find it on TradingView. You'll also find a link down below in the description to add this to your chart. So what is the opening range and initial balance? Quite simply, this is the first 60 minutes of the actual trading day. So what is the purpose of this indicator and why do we even release it? Our system is based on predicting reactions. And whenever we see something in the market that the market tells us is important day after day, we add it to our system and we create a rule set around it. The opening range is an example of that. You can see here in the circled areas, the market reacts at these levels. You can see here it went up and closed above the opening range on these ranges here. It tested the opening range high and continued to go up. You can see here, if we just go to the next one, this one lost the opening range mid. So what this indicator plots is the high, the low, and the mid. You can see it went and tested the 50%, lost that, sold off. And when it actually officially lost the actual opening range low, it sold off as again. Now, as with anything else, the opening range, or why we have this in our system and why we release this indicator, we wanted a really clean opening range and initial balance indicator that actually had a data window as well. We'll be adding to this data window, and what this data window shows is this is the actual day opening range, which is 89, and then we can see here this is the week average, which is right around 82. What we have on here as well is the 20-day close above the opening range high and the 20-day close below opening range low. This data set will be changing. We have a series of data sets that we're actually testing that are extremely helpful for the opening range that will give us some edge. You might be wondering, with these levels, how do they work? How do you interpret them? Here's the general rule of thumb. These levels, they act as magnets and they both repel and attract price. Now you might be asking, how do I know if it's attracting price or repelling price? This is where you'll have to interpret through rule sets of price action. The other thing I would highly suggest is that you have a bias indicator and you use momentum indicators. Through reading bias of the market and momentum, you'll be able to decipher whether or not the opening range high, for instance, is being used as a magnet or it's repelling price. So this indicator alone really isn't enough to give you tremendous edge, but when you combine it with a bias indicator and a momentum indicator, maybe a few other things, especially a rule set and price action, especially with the 4-chart setup. When you combine it with the 4-chart setup, you really have a superpower in trading. Now, one thing I'll share as well is markets that have 24 hours, like Bitcoin, it trades 24 hours a day. You'll see that the opening range is actually the day or the actual range of the actual open. So the first 60 minutes of that day with something, and I just want to make this distinction. So with something like the index, and if you're trading the futures market and you have the ability to actually have an index as well, like on the NDX or the SPY or the SPX, then what you're going to typically do is you're going to use both. You're going to use both the actual opening range of the actual index. So here I'm looking at the NDX, but you're also going to use the NQ or the MNQ, depending on what you're trading. So you'll see the opening ranges are different, and they both act as magnets. They both act as reaction areas. So that's something I would suggest. Now, something like CL, like oil, that doesn't have an index, then you're going to use the actual day opening range. One of the things is you can set the time on this. Everything is within the actual options window. You can set the time to whatever you want. Let's say that you want an additional opening range. Let's say that you want the overnight opening range and you want the actual cash market opening range. We'll just add an additional indicator and change the time. It's really that simple. So that's all. If you have any comments, please share the indicator. This is an indicator that was created in conjunction or an alpha member in our training and in our system. We've been working together to create some indicators. This is the first stage of the final indicator that we're going to create, which will be a members only indicator, which will be predicting ranges. We are going to predict ranges, and we're going to predict ranges well in advance, and we're going to predict ranges within less than 0.05% deviation. That is something that I'm going to solve within the RexDog system. That we have a series of indicators that will be leading up to that, but I will predict ranges. So that is something that I'm working on just about every day in conjunction with a couple other things. So definitely, if you haven't followed in Discord, you want to subscribe here. If you're watching this on YouTube or wherever else you're watching it, you want to subscribe. Follow us on Discord, on Telegram. Really, that's the best way to kind of keep abreast of the things that we're releasing, the things that we're doing. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.